Hello, Joshua. It's my pleasure to finally meet you. I have been looking forward to this interview and getting to hear about your thoughts um, about being shortlisted for the Afritondo Short Story Prize 2021. So tell me, how did it feel to you, getting this news, this announcement that you have been shortlisted for the Afritondo Prize?
Oh, okay. Hi, all. Well, thank you for having me. It's good putting a face to the name. Although I think I'd seen your Facebook page. Yeah, I think I'd seen it before. Yeah, so it's good to finally meet you. How I felt really excited. I felt really, really excited because it was I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting the shortlist to be out on the 3rd. So I was just looking forward to maybe seeing my name there or maybe not seeing my name. So on Friday when the email came in, I was really, really excited. I remember I was trying to take a nap because we had just finished an exam and I couldn't take a nap anymore. I was really just pumped up. So I was on the long list last year. So I was really, really hoping I'd get on the short list this year. So yeah, I was very excited to be on the short list.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you were on the long list last year. I still remember your story, I think, of dead things that come alive. And
yeah.
Yes, now this year you've gone a step further. Which story was easier to write? Last year's of Dead Things That Come Alive or this year's Collector of Memories?
I don't know. So in essence, they're all like my babies, yeah. So so they're all like my babies. So I don't want to think that anyone was easier to write because I think it's really a harrowing experience having to write a short story. 5,000 was just a lot to write down. But then for Collector of Memories, I remember it was a little arduous, I would say, than of Dead Things that Come Alive, because when I wrote the first version and I sent it out to my friends to read, they didn't like it. So everybody, although they were really diplomatic about it, but then we were like, okay, this is trash. So so I had to do a rewrite, and it took me a long time to do the rewrite step by step. So yes, so not necessarily that it was harder to write, but then it took me longer to write. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. And I did a Google search and I saw that you were a law student. Are you still on that program?
Oh yes. Unfortunately, yeah. So I was supposed to have finished last year, but then COVID and all. So I'm trying to wrap up the program right now.
Okay. How do you balance the two? I know law can be an intensive program. I studied law as well. How do you balance studying law and writing?
It's hard. Honestly, it's hard combining the both, and I think it's rather hard because I love the both equally. I love writing and I love studying law. I love the practice of law. So it takes a conscious effort to make room for the both of them.
Let me ask you a very difficult question. If you had to give up one, which one would you?
Okay. You will not believe how many times I've thought about that.
Really?
You will not believe how many times I've thought about it, and it makes me sad sometimes because I do think it will come. A time will come when I would have to make a choice between the both of them, and unfortunately, I think I would pick law, the practice of law, because yeah, it gives greater job security. It's really writing is unpredictable. Of course, you could be successful, and then of course you may not be successful. Yeah, and it's putting a lot in the hands of publishers, readers. But then, and when compared to practicing law, okay, you get a job and you just. But then I do hope I'll be able to combine the both. I really, really hope so. But when it comes down to it, I'll choose practicing law.
Okay, interesting. I mean, talking about just building on that topic of uncertainties of writing, what do you think are the main challenges facing African literature or writing, African writers?
About literature, I think for writers, I think it's a lack of exposure, a lack of platform, so to say, which I think is increasingly changing because we have an abundant talent in Africa. We have young people. I'm speaking specifically for people in my generation right now. We have an abundance of talent. So we have both in poetry and both in prose. So we need the access that platform gives. And I do believe, I'm optimistic that it's changing right now because we see people getting into spaces like the Iowa Writers program, and then many others like that. So it's a little problematic that it's people have to. There's this general idea that you have to go to the West before you obtain legitimacy. So when you get an MFA and then you get published by Western literary magazines, it lends credence to you, and then it legitimizes your work, regardless of how much is published in Nigeria and in Africa generally, which I think is problematic. But at the moment, as we work towards beefing up our own structures and supporting the systems that we have in place, unfortunately, the kind of access exposure you'd most likely get it from the West. So for instance, if you publish a book, you'd more likely get a global audience if your publisher is, say, based in the UK or in the United States. So I think this is the major challenge facing African writers.
Okay. And how do you think we can overcome this challenge? What are the ways forward?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on that when I spoke about the fact that we need to strengthen our own structures. Yes, I think it's you'd have to count on one hand how many people without MFAs that made it big into the literary scene. So it does seem like a rite of passage. So as soon as you're first degree, you start applying to get into a program. So we need to strengthen our own structures. We need to create residency programs in Africa that provide opportunities for young writers, because essentially I think what it helps with exposure. I think what it helps with exposure, it helps with you creating connections with people, and then of course the legitimacy. Oh, you have an MFA, so if you're sending in an entry, someone looks at it and you have an MFA from so and so. So I think we consciously need to promote, and I think it's amazing what you're doing with Afritondo, making it strictly open to Africans. So it's really, really amazing because Afritondo is garnering a global support and a global support, yes. You got over 300 entries this year from like over 20 countries, and I believe it will get better next year. So yes, if you could have several other Afritondos, that would be really, really helpful. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's really interesting. Yes, yeah, we received over nearly 400 entries this year, and yours was one of just 5 entries. Do you see that as a sort of an endorsement, by the judges saying, that you're one of Africa's top writers, This is the endorsement for you?
Okay, I find the idea of that really funny. Right, because we have a lot of people, like we have mad talent in Africa, and even having 300 people sending entries does not like totally reflect the amount of talent we have in Africa. Yeah, I feel eternally grateful, and I feel really privileged, but I think the work speaks for itself. I do not think that the validation comes from the judges. I think the validation comes from the work in itself. Because of course I could write something tomorrow and it would be really trashy. It'd be really trashy. So no, I don't think so. I think that I think I am a top talent. I don't know. I don't know, but then
you're being humble. I've been modest.
Yeah. Okay. No. I think Collector of Memories is a fantastic story, if I would say so myself. But then I think I like to put a distance between the writer and your work. So I think it's possible for a fantastic writer to put out work tomorrow that will be trashy, that will not be like really good. So I like to judge people on the strength of each work they put out. So of course, you could look at a body of work and say, okay, this person has been consistent over time, so we could give it to them. Yes, but we have a lot of people who are really amazing. So I think it's better to just judge them on the quality of work they put out.
Okay. So what is the next step for you writing wise? Do you write just short stories? Do you write other things? Do you plan on writing, say, a novel? I mean, what is the next step for you?
But why do we have to have a next step? I mean, I could just continue writing short stories.
True.
Okay. But I really do not know. I really, really do not know. I was able to write Collector of Memories and the other stories I wrote last year because we had like a hiatus from school because of COVID. So I had time on my hands. So after undergrad, I'm going to law school. So I don't know if I would have the time. But because I don't know for other people, it takes me a lot of time to finish a short story. From conception to actually writing and then doing the second draft and then editing. So it takes me a lot, which is why I don't know. I don't see myself writing a novel because I don't know if any publisher would have the patience to wait for me to write and be done with it. So yes, for next steps, I don't know. The future is uncertain, and I like to take it one day at a time.
Fair enough. And talking about time, how long does it take you then to finish a short story?
I think it depends on the story. I think the story drives me. The story tells me, okay, I'm done. I want to get out. Yeah. So okay, but let's say 2 to 3 months to finish a 5,000 word story, and that's because I'm an erratic writer. So an idea could come to me while in class or while say in the bathroom, and then I'll just like write it down so it comes to a point where the idea coalesces and I think, okay, this is taking shape, and then I export to my computer and then the writing from there. So it's just, sometimes I just have to give it a rest because sometimes I don't know what the next step will be in the story, what the character would do. So I just give it a rest till it just comes back and then I continue, which is why I hate deadlines. And
we give you one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I apply that timeline, how long did it take to write Collector Memories then? Because
okay, yeah. So funny thing, I didn't write Collector Memories for Afritondo. I had already written the story. Yes. So I told you, like, I wrote it around May, June. And then my friends said, no, this does not work. So I just sort of just like left it and then started editing bit by bit, cutting out stuff. And then eventually towards when the call came out and the theme was identity, I said, okay, this could actually work. Yeah, so then I now did the final round of editing. And it's funny, I sent it on the deadline and that was my birthday. So I remember just having to take a pause from the festivities of the whole day to read the work and send it in. So yeah, so I don't think it followed the traditional format of just writing. I had to, like I said, I had to write and then do a rewrite because of the nature of the story.
Okay. Final question. So I know that you submitted for the prize last year. That was on love, and then this year was on identity.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest as a next theme for next year?
Okay, for 2021. Something maybe a little more visual, something more concrete, because love and identity, they're like abstract.
Yes.
So yes, so something maybe about the environment or politics, but something that we could like concretize. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, for your recommendation. I think we'll take that into serious consideration.
All right.
Okay, thank you for your time, and I wish you good luck with the final announcement. I just to confirm that you will be attending the live event for the final announcement.
I certainly hope so.
Okay, very well, Joshua. Before we end, is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to the viewers or?
Okay, no questions for you. There's no possibility of knowing the winner before the announcement, yes?
No. You will know on the day of the announcement.
Okay, that's all right. All right,
okay.
Then.
All right. Have a lovely day, Joshua. And it was a pleasure really speaking and having this conversation. And I look forward to future conversations.
All right. Thank you very much.
And best of luck.